For this lesson, we'll need our lesson book, some scissors, and some Scotch tape. To get started, we'll take the lesson book and open it to the very middle page of the book. We're going to tear this out. If you look at the back, there's no back to this page. We're going to take it and gently work it off the staples. Once we've removed the page from the book, you will notice there's 4 different rectangles here. We'll find the one for us. We have 2 of them in the C-G tuning, 2 of them in the G-D tuning. Of each one we have a right-handed and a left-handed version. In my case, the instrument I'll be using for this demo is in C-G, so I'll use this top one here, which is C-G, and then right-handed, left-handed. Since I'm right-handed, I'll cut the square out. The next step is to take the instrument and to tape the note strip above the keys, the top of the keys, as you look down upon them. You can see I've got mine in place here. You see on the note strip, my number 3 with a dot and then a C lines up with the first dot over my number 3 black key on this instrument. Likewise, the next dot here lines up with the second black dot on the instrument, and so on. Make sure to line the notes up carefully. Okay, at this point we're holding the instrument in our lap. We have our note strip in place. The instrument is tuned up, and we should have a good knowledge of how to turn strings on or off. If any of this is confusing to you, be sure to re-watch the preceding videos. We're going to turn on just one of our melody strings. It doesn't matter which one. Now, right now at this point in the video, we're still working with both tunings, either C, G, or D, G. So if you're in a different tuning than me, your melody string might sound a little different, but the point is the same. We're going to talk about how to hold the handle. Before we start cranking, there's a lot of beginners will try to grab the handle this way. I don't recommend that. That's hard on the wrist and very fatiguing. You might even injure yourself after a while. A good way to start is just to hit it sideways. Wrap your hand around it. Start cranking. An alternative is to not sideways, but kind of like halfway between, or a little bit between, like slight diagonal, if that's more comfortable for you. You can experiment with which one works better for your wrist. If you're playing one of our instruments, your hurdy-gurdy has 2 rows of keys. If you're playing a hurdy-gurdy from another maker, you might have just 1 row of keys. If you're playing on an instrument with both rows of keys, we're just going to start with the lower hanging row. You see there's 2 rows here. When we push the buttons, we push them this way, not backwards towards the instrument, but kind of upward as I hold it in my lap. We want to press them firmly enough to get a clean note. And for now, we're just going to start with the lower hanging row of keys. If we don't press them hard enough, it just kind of makes weird, weak, chattering sounds. We want to do better than that. You try. As we look down on our instrument, we'll be looking at our note strip above the keys. You see there's numbers there. The number 3 lines up with our number 3 on the lower hanging row of keys. 1, 2, 3. On my C-G instrument, that's a C note. My number 4 is a D, and so on up the scale. If you are in G-D, your number 3 will be a G, your number 4 A, and so on up the scale. What we're going to do, we're going to play a basic scale. Again, I'll reiterate, we just want 1 melody string turned on. We're going to press only the lower hanging row of keys, and we're going to start with our number 3 and go up to number 10. We want to press each button firmly enough to get a good clean note. We inlay markers, dots, over the buttons, so this is our first marker dot up to our highest one. As you can see, there's no marker dots below this one right here. nor are there any above this one. Here's how it'll sound. We'll crank nice and even there. We also want to play that and climb back down. It'll sound like this, the first half climbing up that scale. And then back down. I encourage you to practice that a few times. Pause the video if you need to. One other way to make that more interesting is to turn on a drone string to accompany it. If you're a C-G player, like me right now, we're going to turn on our upper drone there, which is a C note. If you are a G-D player, you'll turn on your lower drone. That will most pleasantly correspond with what you're doing. Here's how it'll sound with the drone. Have some fun practicing with that a little bit.